Self-proclaimed old farts like Dave Ramsey. Does his advice even work in today's day and age? Here's what I can tell you. His advice will not make you rich. And I'm going to tell you why in this episode of the Mike Check Yourself show. Let's go. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the Mike Check Yourself show. This is your host, Legacy Mike. I'm so pumped to talk to you guys today. We got a fun one. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite financial gurus. We're going to talk about what's going to make you rich, more importantly, what's going to make you wealthy. I can't wait to dive into it, guys. Whoo! This past week, man, I had something crazy happen. I put a post out about Dave Ramsey on Facebook and it exploded. It's still growing. Who knows when this post is going to stop? Could be millions of views. Here's what I learned. You guys love yourself some Dave Ramsey. He has like the biggest cult following of all time, especially in the finance world. It's like, I can't believe how much people love this guy. And to be honest, I've watched a lot of Dave Ramsey stuff. I've read his book, The Total Money Makeover. I've watched a lot of his Ramsey show. I've watched a bunch of the John Deloney show, who's a part of Dave Ramsey's. I've watched a lot of EntreLeadership stuff. I have seen so much of Dave Ramsey's content. I feel like I'm an expert on Dave Ramsey. So Dave, if you want to give me some screen time one day on your show, I would love to have it, man. But we're going to talk today about wealth and riches and finance and some of the things that I've learned from my 7 years of entrepreneurship. So we're going to kick this show off with my favorite segment of the show, which is called Open Mic. I'm going to talk about things that I want to talk about, like we're in a comedy club and you're handing me the mic and I'm going to get going. So guys, finances, Dave Ramsey, gurus like Grant Cardone, like Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure your feed is filled up with these guys and it couldn't be more confusing than ever. You go to social media, you see Grant Cardone talking about borrowing a bunch of money to buy big apartment complexes. You got Robert Kiyosaki talking about buying gold and all this stuff and that debt is king and rich dad poor dad. And then you've got old fart Dave Ramsey who's like, never borrow money, use a debit card for everything, credit card points are the enemy, and do it the slow way and, invest in your 401k. So who the heck do you listen to, right? A lot of people will say, Dave Ramsey, your advice is just outdated. You said it yourself. You're an old fart. This advice started when 30 years ago. This advice doesn't apply to us anymore. Dave Ramsey was giving advice when people's houses cost $100 grand and when a $50K salary could actually do something for your life. Like he talks about buying avocado toast and stop buying Starbucks coffee and cut down on expenses and cut your credit cards up. Well, Dave, that's not the world we live in today, in today's day and age. Things are different now. So I'm going to talk about a few different polarizing activities so you could go out and still buy your avocado toast if you want, and you could build wealth as well. So we're going to jump into the next segment, which is called, Is This Thing On? Picture we're in the comedy club and I'm testing the microphone. I'm saying, is this on? It's going to be this or that. Does Dave Ramsey's advice make you rich? Does Robert Kiyosaki's advice make you rich or wealthy? Let's talk about it, guys. First, let me start off by saying there is a very, very big difference between being rich and between being wealthy. I know a lot of guys who are rich. I was a part of a lot of mastermind groups where we'd get together, we'd network, we'd travel across the country, we'd talk about all the things we had going on in our business. These are people that own service businesses, real estate companies, e-commerce businesses, marketing agencies, you name it. Entrepreneurs who are making it in today's day and age. And I went to a lot of these events and it was a lot of stuff like, man, I just bought a Lambo and I just bought a beach house and I just financed 300 units of apartments in Raleigh, North Carolina, or whatever it may be. And I would always scratch my head and be like, I wonder where these guys are going to be in 5 years. We went through the times of COVID 2020 and there was money flying around like crazy. It was so easy to get money. It was so easy to land jobs for your service business. It was so easy to finance deals. Interest rates were low. Money was being printed. The economy was soaring. And I remember talking to somebody and I said, I wonder what's going to happen for some of these guys that are leveraging and taking on a bunch of debt to buy apartment complexes. So, what's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years when that note becomes due and the property doesn't appreciate fast enough and they can't refinance it because the math doesn't make sense on the new interest on the loan and the circumstances aren't perfect and money's not being printed? Well, guess what, guys? We have reached those 5 years, and I'm seeing a lot of those people get absolutely crushed. Now, I don't wish harm on any of those guys, but those guys were very much the Grant Cardone and the Robert Kiyosaki type guys. Leverage, leverage, leverage. Use other people's money, buy these apartment complexes, control these assets, buy these rental properties, grow and scale your portfolio, build your business up, and figure it out later kind of deal. Some of these guys are facing bankruptcy. Some of these guys' notes are being called due. A lot of these guys are trying to raise more money to rob Peter to pay Paul. And it's getting ugly, guys. It's getting absolutely ugly out there for these guys. So for me, I kind of went through the same thing. I started growing my business really quickly and I thought I knew everything. And so I sold my cleaning company and I started building a moving company and I invested in an education business and then I invested in a roofing company and I was just all over the place. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't borrowing any money to do this, except I was using credit cards and things like that. And I was also financing vehicles and, I was just trying to go as fast as possible. And here's what I learned. There is a very, very big difference between being rich and being wealthy. So what I want to say to you guys right now is you do not want to be rich. Rich is the nice car, the nice house, a lot of cash in your pocket, feeling like you're something, Rolex on your wrist, which don't get me wrong, I got a Rolex, I love it. But you want to be able to pay cash for these things and not have it suffer later. I'm a biblical person. I believe in God. And in the Bible, it talks about that God will enhance things and add no sorrow to it. And what I've seen is a lot of these guys that use leverage and use debt, now they're paying for it later. Where Dave Ramsey, you slowly build over time and there's no sorrow added to it. You use cash and you use wisdom to build your portfolio. So is this thing on? Who should you listen to? Grant Cardone, Robert Kiyosaki, they use debt as leverage, or the old farts like Dave Ramsey who have been around for a long time and are actually building wealth that's debt free? In my opinion, the Dave Ramsey model works. There's a few things that I disagree with, but in general, it works. And for those of you that are watching the show that are business owners, maybe you should get out of the total money makeover part of Dave Ramsey, where he's speaking mostly to people who have no sense of financial control and are just trying to get out of debt, and focus on his EntreLeadership stuff, where he talks about entrepreneurship and leadership topics. So is this thing on? Dave Ramsey's advice will help you win with money 100% of the time. Dave Ramsey's advice will not make you rich. You will not have the coolest car, at least initially. You will not have the Rolex that you can't afford. You will not live above your means, but his advice will make you wealthy. So now we're going to transition over to the next segment of the show. This is called Just the Tips, because that's all I can give you. I'm not a financial guru like Dave Ramsey, so I don't know everything. I'm just going to give you the tip, and I'm just going to give you everything I got here. So just the tips. Live below your means, guys. Don't maximize yourself. Stop buying stupid stuff that you don't need. Case in point, for us, this year, I'm going to share a little personal information. We pre-qualified for over $2 million for a house. And what did we do? We went out and bought a house for $593,000. Why? Because we don't want to be up to our eyeballs in debt. Now, granted, we're not paying cash for it. I wish we could. We're close. We're not paying cash for it, but we don't have this huge mortgage payment where every month we're like, are we going to be able to pay our bills? It's a really small portion of our income. So guys, listen to Dave Ramsey's advice and don't borrow money. Stop leveraging, especially for stupid stuff, but even for your business. If your business is not cash flowing, if you're not able to take the cash from your business and reinvest it in for it to grow, then you might be growing too fast. If you are having to take out loans for a bunch of things and use credit cards and lines of credit, you need to slow down and get control of your business and your finances. I'll give you an example. When I had my cleaning company, I did exactly this. I bought a bunch of vehicles. I financed them all. I bought a bunch of equipment. I financed it, most of it. And it got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. My overhead was so high, my payroll was so high, and I was growing so fast that I couldn't keep up with it. Now, on the other hand, my marketing business, we have cash flowed every single thing, even this YouTube channel. I didn't launch this YouTube channel until my business was stable enough to where I could hire a video editor, buy the equipment, have the team that does all the analytics on the other side. You want to make sure that you're going at a healthy pace. And if something like this is going to hinder you in your business, then you need to just wait and sometimes press pause on things until you can get a stable foundation. Here's another tip for you, and here's actually one of the things that I disagree with Dave Ramsey on. I think you should build credit. We're buying a house now, and there's a couple things on my credit report, like I said, from my cleaning business days that still show up from time to time, and my credit isn't perfect. It's not bad, it's just not perfect. And when you go to buy a home, every quarter of a point or half a point of interest makes a big difference. So if I was able to go from very good credit to excellent credit, I probably would have saved a half a point or even a point on my mortgage payment. And here's the deal, I'm going to refinance and hopefully just be able to pay off my house a lot sooner. But building good credit is important when you want to buy a house. You don't need credit for a bunch of other stupid stuff that you're going to go out and buy, and credit cards and all that stuff. So be careful. But I'm not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey's manual underwriting when it comes to homeownership because the interest rates are just super high versus going on a conventional mortgage. So here's a tip, guys. If you're gonna use credit cards, be smart with them. Pay your balance off every single month. Make sure you have plenty of cash. Keep cash reserves in your business. Keep cash reserves in your personal finances. And I promise you, you'll sleep better at night. I went through a stage where money was tight and I went through a full-on nervous breakdown. And I'll probably do another episode about this later. But I can tell you that having cash in the bank is no better feeling than that. You can sleep great at night, you feel good, and you know that your family is safe and secure. Here's another tip. I think a lot of you guys are living this dream that doesn't exist. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to entrepreneurs. I said, what are your goals for 2025 and beyond? Where do you want to be? And they say stupid stuff like, I want to make so much money to where I never have to work again in my life. That is a scam. That's a fallacy. That doesn't happen, guys. And I want to tell you a story of exactly why that's untrue. So I know this guy who I met in a mastermind group, and this guy sold his company for millions of dollars in his 30s. Enough money to where he would never have to work another day in his life. And when I talked to this guy, and I was like, man, isn't it awesome that you get up every day and you don't have to work anymore? And he's like, Mike, I know people will say this to you and it's hard to believe, but I want to tell you something. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, the day I sold my company, I was the most miserable I'd ever been in my life. Like, wow, that's crazy. And I'm like, well, why? And he's like, because I woke up every day and I didn't have purpose and I didn't have things to fight and I didn't have to problem solve and I didn't have to go out and create. I'm a visionary. I love to create. I love to have fun. And I love to solve problems. And I woke up and I didn't have that anymore. And a huge part of my life was missing. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, just go out and start another company. Just go do something else. That's not exactly how it works, guys. Usually what happens when you have a bunch of money like that, you get bored and you start to get antsy and you start to invest in things that you shouldn't invest in. You start to get your hands in things that you don't have experience in. And this person decided to invest a bunch of money into crypto because that's what all the gurus were doing. He thought it was going to go to the moon. And guess what? It went to the moon temporarily. And then it all crashed down, and then he was back to basically square one. So guys, I want you to hear me out on this. The Dave Ramsey wealth building way is the path to success. Stop wishing that you could just make a bunch of money and that you could sell a company or have millions of dollars in the bank and you never have to work again, because I've personally never seen, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of millionaires and multimillionaires. I have never seen an example of that working. Continue to wake up every day, plug away at your business, and solve problems and grow every day. I got some cool stuff to share with you guys. So, mic drop moment. Don't strive to be rich. Be wealthy. You got to understand Dave Ramsey's mindset behind what he did. He was rich. He had the real estate. He had the car. He had the nice vacations. In his 20s, he was a multi-millionaire on paper. But then it all came crashing down when he went bankrupt. And when you go through traumatic experiences like that, You change the way you do things. So some people are like, why is he so passionate about not borrowing money? Because when you go bankrupt and your life is on the brinks of failure and you can't breathe because you have no money, I guarantee you, you will never want to get back in that place again. So, mic drop moment, don't over leverage. Don't leverage at all, and don't get in that place where you feel like you can't breathe because of your finances. Live below your means. Stop buying stupid stuff that you don't need, that doesn't matter, so you can impress people who don't care. Live your life, live below your means, and enjoy your time. Focus on what really matters: your family, your health, your relationship with God, all of those things. Money will not bring you happiness. Now, I will say, it's better to be rich and miserable than poor and miserable, because at least you can go shopping. Secondly, the system is not built for you to win. If you're waiting for the government, if you're waiting for some agency, if you're waiting for your parents to bail you out, it's not going to happen. They are not going to come here and save your day. You, yes, I'm talking to you. You need to look yourself in the mirror and you need to take personal responsibility for your finances. Like Dave Ramsey says, create a budget, live below your means, monitor your finances. If you do those things, you will win with money 100% of the time. Mic drop moment. Here's another thing for you guys. Being wealthy takes time. Being rich is fleeting. It can come and go very quickly. I've seen people go to the moon with things like crypto and e-commerce and real estate and all that stuff, and then I've seen it all crash down in a matter of months or years. Building real wealth takes time. You have to be in it for the long game. So the people that I know who are happy, healthy, and wealthy, it takes them a long time to get there. And here's exactly what they do. They build a business, they perfect it, and they stay with it for a long time. So here's the thing. When you start seeing a little bit of success in something, what most entrepreneurs do is they'll go over to this and they'll go over to that and they'll invest in crypto and they'll invest in real estate and they'll invest in some get rich quick scheme, and it'll all come crashing down. I want you to resist the urge to do that. I'm begging you, stop. Stick with something for a long time. So if you're good at real estate, stick with real estate. Do that for a long time. Do it slow. Don't finance it. Buy a property, get it stabilized, move on to the next one. Stop over leveraging. If you're good at marketing, like I am, stick with it. Do it for a long time. Don't go and invest in Amazon stores and invest in crypto and all this BS stuff. Building real and true wealth takes time, and it's boring. It's not sexy. It's not cool. But guess what? I'd rather be boring and have a wad of cash in my bank account than be rich and look cool and be scared for my life and my finances. Mic drop moment. So guys, don't get me wrong. I love my Amex points. I actually just used some Amex points to buy something cool this morning. But guys, it's not worth it. Pay your credit card off every month if you do have one. Build wealth over time. Take your time, and it's okay. You don't have to get there fast. You don't want to get there fast, because once you get there, you're going to wake up and you're going to have no purpose. Maybe old farts like Dave Ramsey are right. Maybe the people like Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki, I'm going to say, I think they're wrong. I don't think that's the way that you should build wealth. Did they do it? Yeah, I think Grant Cardone, I think Robert Kiyosaki are very wealthy. They've been in the game for a long time. They've been able to keep their money for a long time. But I've just seen a lot of the ups and the downs, and I've seen the lefts and the rights. And personally, it's just not how I want to run my business. So you have a choice. You're an adult. I can't hold your hand. I can't force you to do anything you want to do. So if you're watching this and you're in real estate and you're leveraged and you're making more money than me, congratulations. I'm happy for you. And genuinely, I hope you succeed. But as for me and my house, I'm going to build wealth slowly over time, and I'm going to stick with something that I'm great at, like marketing. And that's just what I'm going to do. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This one was really fun for me to talk about. I love talking about ways that you can win and you can build wealth and you can be happy. I'm so pumped about this show and where it's going. Guys, if there's anything I can do to help you, drop a comment. I'll answer your comments. Maybe I'll even answer your question on the next show. But with that being said, let's build some wealth. Let's make some money. Let's live our best life. This is the Mike Check Yourself Show. Signing out. Go build wealth like Dave Ramsey does, and be an old fart who's bald and has a bunch of money. Let's go.